I am here with Maurice Jones-Drew, two-time first-team All-Pro, three-time Pro Bowler, rushing yards leader in 2011, fantasy football expert, color commentator for the Rams, and Jaguars legend. How are you doing, Maurice?
I appreciate that. You're telling me I'm doing a lot.
You got a lot of
Well,
hats on.
yeah, I got a lot. I'm doing a lot right now. I'm doing well. Excited to be here in the UK with the NFL and also USAA and what they're doing here. And so exciting times.
Thank you so much, first and foremost, for the time to sit here with me. I know you got a busy schedule. On behalf of LA Sports Report and Newsweek Sports, thank you very much for taking the time. Let's get right into it. You mentioned USAA. Tell me a little bit about the partnership you got going on with them right now.
Yeah, so obviously USA is the Salute to Service NFL boot camp here at Lakenheath in the UK. It's an army base where they went out and had a full camp, right? A combine of 40-yard dashes, three cone drill, the shuttle, quarterback toss, and then they played 7-on-7 after. So we got a chance to go out there and really thank the troops for all that they've done for us and watch them compete and cheer them on and give them some tidbits. And then also went to the flight line to go look and really learn, for me personally, learn kind of all that goes on with putting on the weapons and the ammunition and taking things off. And it really opened my eyes personally just to all the testing and studying and all the things you have to do to be prepared to go out there and obviously protect our country. And that's kind of what the message was. So it was like, thank you. Because a lot of times you don't really think of all that goes into it. All the studying, you watch movies and you see all that. Like I watch Maverick and all that. And I'm like, oh yeah, they got to study a little bit, or you watch Red Tails or different things, but to sit, actually watch and see and learn, it's been amazing. It was like I said, I told all the troops, I said, this has been a great experience for me. I hope it's the same for you. I tried to give them some knowledge on the 40-yard dash. They wanted me to run it, but I was like, I'm gonna stay with my 4.3 that I ran when I was 20. I don't want to mess that time up. And so yeah, it was good. It's been a great experience for sure.
Speaking of the 40-yard dash, was anybody actually really fast out there?
There was a couple 4.8s, 4.7s. Um, I think they would have been faster. It was a little windy and it's been cold, so you got to like warm up. So I think you might have got like a 4.6. There's a couple guys you're like, oh, you ran track before, like, oh, you've done it. They're like, oh yeah. I was like, okay. So it's a little bit different, but no, it was exciting to see people compete and run and the different starts and the women and it was just awesome to see everybody out there competing their butts off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Jumping right into some NFL questions for you. You know, you have your running back index that you
Mhm.
just got posted. So you got Derrick Henry on there. You got Jordan Mason, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara, James Cook. Is there anybody on this top 10 list that didn't quite make it, but you've had your eye on this season?
It's so funny. This year we wanted to do something different. Normally I would take what they did last year, how they ended last year, then they'll go. So this year we were saying, look, I'm going to predict who I expect to be number one, and then we're going to go each week where it's gonna move more like kind of like the stock market, right? Like you got to work your way up. I think Josh Jacobs is a guy that it should be. He's getting up there. They just got to run the ball a little bit more. I know he's done a great job running. But like when you have like a guy like Derrick Henry who rushed for 150, then comes back like 192, it's like, all right, we got to put him up at the top. I think Kyron's done an awesome job in LA. I know he's at number 10. I think he's going to start moving up. I think he has a record 9 straight games with a rushing touchdown. So there's a lot that going on. Alvin Kamara's done an awesome job. I had Saquon up there just because I felt like the Eagles were going to have to lean on him. He literally won them 2 games, right? So seeing those things work out well. J.K. Dobbins is a guy that's we're kind of waiting to see how he plays. He had some really good games, and then obviously had that game against Pittsburgh that wasn't the best. So hopefully, you try to push as many guys up as you can. Waiting for Joe Mixon to come back, a good friend of mine from my hometown. He's been hurt. So like I said, each week is different. And I'm getting a lot of flack for it, to be honest. Like, oh, this guy should be there. And why isn't this guy? It's like, look, each week people are going to move up and down. It's what happened the week before and where we project them for the next week. So I think it's a great way to really have people talk trash to me pretty much and tell me that I'm the worst analyst there is. I don't know what running backs are anymore and all that stuff. So it's good.
I mean, anytime you put any top 10 anything list, everyone's going to go after you for whatever reason.
Exactly.
If their favorite player's not on that, you don't know what you're
Oh,
talking about.
exactly, man. I mean, I have a buddy that's a Lions fan, and I'm like, he's just been so obnoxious the last 2 years because they've been good. Like he's been quiet forever. Now all of a sudden it's like, why isn't Gibbs? Why isn't Montgomery on there? You're tripping. Come on. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I mean, speaking of the running back position, what do you think about the narrative that the position's somehow devalued now in the NFL?
I mean, it's always something with the running backs, right? And I tell people this: look at the Niners, right? The Niners have been a perennial Super Bowl contender year after year. This was kind of the final year of them having that because of all the contracts have to pay Purdy. There's only one person that's not playing though right now, and they don't look the same. And so you could go look at the Baltimore Ravens. I know they did well with Keaton Mitchell, and they were doing well with Hill and Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Look at them now with Derrick Henry, how different they look. They
Yep.
look dangerous. They can run and throw. I go to the Rams. I call their games, like you said, on radio.
Mhm.
They were really good with Todd Gurley, went to a Super Bowl, right? They won a Super Bowl without running the football, and then they tried again the next year. And it didn't work out. And even Cam Akers had some big runs throughout that season. But look how they are with Kyron now. They're a very physical team. They've committed to the running game. They have half of their team is out on offense with injuries. Half their offense is out on injuries, and yet they're competing and still in games because they have a really good running back and they're running the football. And so to me, that's the most important thing of a team is you have to be able to win games and or like take a lead and then close games out. If you can't close the game out, you can't win. And so a lot of times, if you look at the Jets with Brees Hall, they don't utilize him enough. He's a volume guy. He needs to touch the ball more. And there's a reason they're losing because they're not running the football. I know you have Aaron Rodgers, but you need to run the football more. If you do, you have a chance. If you look at Minnesota, I know Sam Darnold's put up a lot of numbers, but Aaron Jones has been the guy for them. And when Aaron Jones is rolling, they're tough to stop. And that's one of the reasons why they're undefeated is because they're running the football a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head with that. And that brings up another question in the sense that do you think the league is moving kind of completely away from like the three down back role and more requiring running backs, like great running backs like you, to be dual threat, to be on the ground, but also pass catching as well? Do you think the league is transforming into backs needing to do that?
Yeah, I feel like when I was like in the middle of my career, they kind of started going to that. But that's a lot of it is because high school started going to more of a throwing the ball around a little bit more. And so as a running back, you got to be able to catch. And if you could catch, then guess what? Like now you're a more viable, versatile, viable option on third down. You can be on the field a ton. And I always really carried myself and wanted to be a four down back, right? I wanted to be able to do short yardage goal line, third down, first and second down, blitz pickup, run routes like a receiver. I wanted to do all that. And so my sons actually, both of my boys are playing football right now. My oldest one's in high school. And I've kind of tried to take him to the CMC role, right? To be a thousand guy, which is always tough to do. But if you have the ability to be able to rush for 1,000 and receive for 1,000 as a running back, that just shows you how much of a threat you can be. And so that is something the league is going to, and I think it's going to be something that's going to really expand the role of the running back and keep him around for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the way it's looking right now. Like I said, you brought up CMC, Saquon Barkley. I mean, there's a lot of really good backs
Oh yeah.
that can catch out of the backfield too. It's really impressive to see. Jumping right into a couple of college questions, transitioning back to your days at UCLA. You came in a little bit right after Deshaun Foster. Did you guys ever happen across paths?
Oh, not at UCLA, but when I went back to school. We actually were in class together because he was getting his degree and I was going back and getting mine. So we got a chance. He's a really good friend of mine, and um, we're struggling at UCLA, but
A little bit.
yeah, I just actually had a call yesterday morning about this just because I tell people he took that job over in March, right? He didn't get a chance to like put his culture in throughout the off season. As soon as he got there, they're right to spring ball. So he's doing a lot of things on the fly. And I tell people all the time, like he is the man for the job because one, he's been through those halls, he's been in those classrooms, he's been in the dorms. He can relate to those kids in that fashion. And then the staff that he's put around him, I thought obviously hired an Eric Bieniemy, who was my coach at UCLA, was one of the a great teacher, right? He prepares. He's going to have guys ready. So to me, I think patience, right? Because he has to get his recruits in. He had, they're trying to raise NIL. They're doing a lot of things, and Deshaun's done a great job of recruiting. I think they have like three or four, maybe 5 or 6 4-stars already committed out of high school. They'll have another round of the transfer portal, so he'll get a chance to get some guys in there. Just this year, right now, it's more of learning the West Coast offense, understanding the way that they want to play football on all 3 phases, and then how you go forward from there.
Yeah, you kind of already answered my next question was what do you think Foster or how do you think Foster is doing running the football program? But I think that's true. I mean, you gotta trust the process as they say, as everybody says, but you know what?
Oh
He
man,
just took over and they're showing fight. They showed a lot of fight in that Penn State game, and I was like, okay,
man,
it's there.
they're getting better each week, right? And I think that's the most important thing is each week if you show growth and get better. Like occasionally you're going to have a dull game, but look, they're going into a thing where you had half the team leaving the portal. The D coordinator left and went to SC, right? Like a lot of people that were the glue of that team last year and those stars that went to the league, they were big time players. And then to have kind of that whole staff, that the play caller left late, the DC left, like you're rebuilding everything. So to me, like I said, it's about timing, and I think he's going to learn a lot this year, and then you'll see a big jump next year as UCLA gets rolling.
I mean, to me, it seems like you have a really good analytical mind to be a coach. Is there an instance or reality maybe in the future where you take on coaching?
Yeah, I coach youth football and I coach high school. That's about it.
Okay.
The other coaching is too much pressure, man. And when they start paying you a lot of money to coach, I get away from it. It's just too much pressure.
I mean, that makes sense. As I said, you run a fantasy football show on Sirius XM Radio. Do you have a fantasy team yourself? And if so, what is the team? What is your team's name?
Oh, I have a couple fantasy teams. MJDs. MJDs are my team.
I love it.
Where we were solid. The fantasy show for Sirius was awesome. That did a lot of good things for me, opened up a lot of doors. I just don't do it anymore. But yeah, no, fantasy has always been a part of what I've always wanted to do. I played it I used to play with my buddies when I played, and I had a rule that I had to draft myself first, just so that guys didn't get to use talk trash, right? So I love the game, and like I said, it's just all about just bringing people together. I'm in like 7 leagues now,
Oh wow.
but the cold part is when I played, I used to win them all the time because I can control my team. I knew I was going to score touchdowns, so I was going to win. It's hard now because I don't like guys don't have the same mindset I do as they're playing. Like a lot of players like, oh man, I don't care about your fantasy team. No, you should care about my fantasy team
Mhm.
because I drafted you, and I need you to care more. I need you to understand what this is all about. So, no, it's been great though. I've made it to the championship in a couple leagues. I've won a couple, but not enough, right? And then this year, all these injuries are insane. It's like, dude, how is everyone getting hurt? But that's the beautiful part about fantasy. You just got to pick up one guy off the waiver wire, and there you go.
Yeah. I actually picked up Puka Nacua in my first pick, and now he's out. I'm like, oh man, come on.
Yeah, yeah. I was the same way. I had him and Cooper Cup and another like 2 different leagues, and it's just like, oh man. But it's okay. They're gonna come back in a week or two, and they'll get us rolling again.
I mean, this is a smooth enough transition right into you are a color commentator for the Rams, and they got a lot going on, and they're real beat up. I mean, this is not the 2022 Rams where they had a lot of injuries, but they kind of figured things out. Like, do you think that they're gonna be able to rebound? I mean, obviously getting Cooper Cup back, getting a lot of the offensive linemen back, getting everybody
Right.
back. Really, do you think that they're going to be able to rebound and kind of become those Rams again, or they're kind of in a hole right now? It's getting a little bleak, if I'm
No,
being honest.
it's early. It's early in the season. I think and when you have a 17 game season, going 1-4 isn't as scary as a 16 game, right? And it's crazy what one game can do. But having the bye week now is probably the most important thing. Having early bye weeks for a team that's beat up helps you in the long run. You're going to get Cooper Cup back. You're going to get Steve Avila back. You're going to get Jonah Jackson back. You're going to get all these guys back offensively. And the best part about that is you think about it, Logan Bruss, Bo Limmer, those guys have had quality reps to step in. They've added depth. And so the biggest thing for the Rams is getting healthy, staying healthy. And I think you'll see them make a run here late in the season like they did last year. So I know it's always it's tough for Rams fans to hold on because you're used to so much success over the last 8 years, but these are the things that are going to happen. Things happen, right? As long as Matthew Stafford's there, as long as you have Kyron, as long as Cooper Kupp is back, I think you'll see a ton. I mean, I felt like against the Bears, they should have won that game. They had a couple chances to win that game. There was a lot of miscommunication though, and so those are things that they're going to have to fix. But those things will be fixed as those guys start coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and they still have Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, and
Yeah,
we know what Matthew Stafford can do. He's magic.
exactly. No, he can make all the throws, so it's good to see.
Absolutely. Being that you're in London for the international game, the NFL is constantly, evolving and taking games. They just went to Brazil. Do you think there's an instance where an international team is finally going to be introduced, and what country do you think that might happen first for?
Well, it's funny you say that because I have dinner with the commissioner tonight. I think that's going to
Oh,
be on the topic. First of all, I love what the NFL is doing, expanding the game, right? Playing in different countries. They have the NFL Academy. They're doing a lot of different things to help grow the game abroad, which I think is awesome. Um, I would say Mexico City would probably have a team first,
hmm.
just because you could practice in the States and then play in Mexico City and then kind of get that, vibe going a little bit. It will be tough to put a team in London. I think you'd have to put like a division in London for it to work,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
it'd have to be a division in Europe. So you have to think about Paris, Spain. London could probably host two teams, whatever it may be. Just because of the flight. Like if you're a West Coast team, that's a 10-hour flight, 12-hour flight going back and forth. That becomes more of a disadvantage. And I think the NFL, that's what the owners don't want it to be. So before they can put a team, I think they'd look to put four in the Europe for it to work, to make it work. So you guys will play each other some more than, and then obviously you fly to the States and play a little bit as well.
Yeah, it'd be like you go on a little bit of tour and stay out there, play all
Yes,
those teams in division, and come.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know you got to get out of here. I know I'm running out of time here. So, is there anything else you would like to tell me regarding your new partnership with USAA?
You know what? I thought, first of all, USA has done an awesome job of just connecting the troops in the NFL and just the fans together. Like I said, we need more Jags fans here. And that's the most important thing. We get the Jags fans going. But to see all the troops, to hear the different teams they support, the different stories of why, it's just awesome. And like I said before, to me, it's just continue to connect and support our troops. And USA does a great job with that, being the official partner of the NFL and salute to service. So as long as they can continue that, I think it'll help our bond. And again, like I said before, we always want to thank our troops for their service and obviously their sacrifice. So it's been an awesome trip. I can't wait to see all these pictures we took, all the smiling faces. It's cold out here too. It's not warm. It's freezing. So they're out here working in frigid temperatures. And again, it's all the stuff that you think until you go out there and see it. So I've learned a lot today, and I'm super appreciative of USAA.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for taking the time again out of your schedule to talk to me. It's been an absolute pleasure, Maurice. I hope your fantasy football teams do well this season.
I appreciate. Yeah, we're getting there.
And again, thank you so much for taking the time. I truly appreciate it.
No problem at all.